Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis Young. I am currently a senior and dance major at Kennesaw State University. And I've had the opportunity to work as an undergraduate research assistant to Professor Andrew Knowlton this semester. I am going to jump right on in and talk about what is generative AI. Generative AI refers to a type of artificial intelligence that is capable of generating new and original data or content, such as images, music, or text, rather than simply recognizing patterns in existing data. It works by using a neural network to model the underlying probability distribution of the data that's been trained on, and then uses the model to generate new data that is statistically similar to the original data. A subset of this is machine learning, and machine learning involves training algorithms to learn patterns and make predictions based on data. It involves using statistical models and algorithms to enable computers to learn from data and improve their performance on a specific task over time. One of the limitations of machine learning is that it primarily is focused on data that could be easily quantified and measured. This could be such as numerical or categorical data. It's much more challenging to apply machine learning to data that involves subjective experiences such as the senses. And since these experiences are difficult to quantify, it's more difficult to measure. An example of generative AI that we see every day is the autocomplete feature on our phones or computers, which uses predictive text to generate suggestions based on what we've already typed. Another example of this is the recommendation algorithms used by streaming services like Netflix or Spotify, which generate personalized recommendations based on our viewing or listening history. So current AI is being used as a product rather than a tool that gathers information that helps our choice-making process. There is no real known generative AI for dance that captures creativity. This is because dance, particularly improvisational dance, involves a level of subjective experience and creativity that is difficult to quantify and model. Current generative AI techniques struggle to capture the spontaneity and innovation required for improvisational dance, which ties into the research that I've been able to observe and be a part of and leads to the question, well, can we create a new design principle that involves the use of motion capture technology in capturing and generating new movements for dancers? This research paper that I'm currently dissecting and writing about at the moment, that I'll go more in depth to later on, discusses the challenges of designing generative AI systems for productive and safe use, proposes a set of design principles to aid designers. The principles are grounded in the properties of generative AI systems, namely generativity and variability, and interact with each other in a complex way. The paper also acknowledges existing design guidelines for specific kinds of generative AI applications and more general AI-related design guidelines. The research concludes by proposing a set of 6 design principles for generative AI applications that are grounded in the environment of generative variability. The principles focus on designing for multiple and imperfect outputs, exploration with human control, accurate mental models, and designing against potential harms caused by hazardous model outputs, misuse of the model, and displacement of human workers. These principles aim to help designers make informed decisions while creating generative AI applications. And at this time, I'm currently summarizing these main design principles in this research paper and relating them to the dance world as a possible creative tool used for feedback and inspiration, as well as trying to find ways on how some of these designs may have flaws. Improvisational dance. Now, when we talk about improvisational dance, we look at the art of improvisation, and there's no true definition for it. As a dancer, I like to explain that it's a style of dance where the dancer creates movement spontaneously without pre-planning or choreography. It involves being present in the moment and responding to the music, the environment, and other dancers. Improvisation can take many forms, from structured improvisation with guidelines or rules to completely free-form improvisation as well. The guidelines that were used during this specific AI research were pulled from the Laban movement analysis, which we've used in this research, and it shows that dance has elements such as time, space, the body, efforts, and we explore them all in sorts of different ways. For example, in this video, I'm improvising and I make the choice to use either light or strong efforts, or I'm deciding if I want to be direct or indirect in my movement. I find myself also analyzing my movement in terms of space, asking myself questions like, how am I using the space around me? Should I move high or low, wide or narrow? Overall, I must have a deep understanding of my body and movement vocabulary, as well as an ability to listen and respond to the stimuli around me. Improvisation requires a level of trust in oneself and in the process, as well as a willingness to take risks and explore new possibilities. Colliding both worlds, I had the opportunity in the beginning of the semester to wear a motion capture suit. As you can see in the image on the left with Professor Knowlton and another dance major, we were given instructional improvisational guidelines where I was told to use circular motion and the other dancer was told something separate. We were not allowed to know each other's movement instruction, but we were able to communicate with our bodies in order to pick up on an idea of what direction they may have been given. We wore the motion capture suits in order to pick up on our separate movement patterns, as well as to be coded using the Laban movement analysis. This allowed the researchers to quantify our creative range and movement choices. And by quantifying a dancer's creative range through the use of AI can be beneficial for dancers in several ways. One of those ways could be self-awareness. By analyzing and quantifying their creative range, a dancer can gain a better understanding of their strengths and weaknesses, allowing them to focus their training and development accordingly. Another one is personal growth. With the knowledge of their creative range, a dancer can push their boundaries and challenge themselves to explore new movement possibilities, which potentially could lead to personal growth and artistic development. Collaboration. Quantifying a dancer's creative range can also be beneficial for collaborations with other artists, allowing them to find a compatible partner and explore new avenues of artistic expression. And lastly, performance. By having a quantified range of creative possibilities, a dancer can be prepared for performances and make more informed choices when creating new choreography. Overall, I found that by combining AI with improvisational dance, it can offer significant insight into a dancer's creative range, thus assisting them in their artistic development. The team that I'm working for has a goal towards designing an interactive software. And in their research and creating usable software, they've been following design guidelines for generative AI. I've become really interested in this paper, but it does have some limitations, and that is what I'm actually studying right now. My role this semester as Professor Andrea Knowlton's research assistant has included exploring different visualization modes with another student researcher at Georgia Tech. An example, for instance, is brainstorming how some specific visualization modes will appear on an avatar and represent different efforts, shapes, speeds, etc. One mode that we brainstormed, for example, that is shown in the image was imprints. And we described how imprints can be used to show how long segments of the body have been static or motionless. The longer the segment has been immobile, the greater the imprint, for example. And the imprint will look like a stamp, an outline of that part of the body. This way, when the segment is mobile, once more, the viewer will be able to detect which areas of the body are used the least. This is just one example of a mode we came up with and described, but there can be infinite modes created in order to express Laban movement analysis, as well as the dancer's patterns and creative choices. Along with brainstorming modes, as a dance major, I've been able to give a dancer's perspective in our research meetings, as well as ask questions that people who are not involved in dance may overlook. For example, as some of the researchers from Georgia Tech created an avatar to represent the dancer's movements and possibly be used as a feedback tool, I remind the researchers that most dancers, rely on the eyes to know where the head is pointing directionally as well as where it's located in space. So this showed that eye sockets may be of importance to place on the avatar. I'm also currently in the process of writing my own research paper, like I mentioned before, which dissects and summarizes James White's paper called Toward General Design Principles for Generative AI Applications, which I listed in the works cited at the end. And this paper just explains how each aspect in design could relate to dance. I will be relating each design to how it could be used for performances as a way for feedback, partnering, pattern recognition, and so on. Now, some dancers may find that generative AI is distracting. As the dancer creates movement and improvises, the avatar will visibly be picking up on the dancer's movement and performing what they gather. This could potentially be distracting for the dancer and cause them to shut down or start to impact their creativity in a negative way. However, a lot of these things are a matter of perspective and personal experience. It can make you overthink it, or it can make you think about it in different ways. Everyone is going to have a different experience with this tool, just like how everyone has a different experience with other tools in a dance class setting, such as mirrors. Lumini, which is a generative art tool that the researchers have been using, is somewhere between being alone in a room and improvising and seeing what comes out and being with a partner. It's really neither of those things. It offers a new experience that you can learn a lot from, and it's interesting as a third option. We're not trying to replace a human, and it's not the same as dancing in the mirror. It's a collaborator that doesn't have the ability to judge and can inspire creativity in the moment and in the movement. In other aspects, apart from just dance, Professor Nolan and I had the opportunity to tour the biomechanics lab to understand how generative AI is used to talk about height, width, depth, and uses an XYZ axis. And in Laban, that's used as well in order to quantify a dancer's range. This generative AI tool could also be used in different settings, such as physical therapy clinics, in order to better understand a patient's, for example, walking patterns or current physical conditions in order to develop personalized exercise plans tailored to their specific needs. These plans can take into account the patient's physical limitations and capabilities and provide a customized roadmap to help change movement patterns that could be harmful. Overall, this research that I've been able to observe and be a part of has expanded my knowledge of generative AI and dance in a collaborative aspect. The integration of generative AI and dance presents exciting possibilities for the field of dance. By utilizing machine learning algorithms, AI can aid dancers in their creative process and enable them to explore new movement possibilities. Additionally, AI can help dancers achieve embodiment by providing them with real-time feedback on their movements and facilitating a deeper understanding of their bodies. By incorporating AI into dance practice, dancers can benefit from increased creativity, improved technique, and enhanced artistry. As such, the collaboration between generative AI and dance has the potential to push the boundaries of what is possible in dance and unlock new artistic expression. Thank you so much.